Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tim Dillon Show. Giannis Pappas, there's a special that is on YouTube that you have to watch. It's going to come up right now. The hilarious stand-up comedian, the pride of Greece, Giannis Pappas. It's called Mom Love, and it's on YouTube, and you got to watch it. It's all about transgender people.
The whole thing.
It's an hour of what your take on the trans community.
Yeah, because it's just...
Because no one else has done it yet.
Yeah, it's not... Nobody's covered it, so I really want to delve into it.
It's smart.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
And no, that's a joke.
Yeah.
It's about mom. What is it, Mom Love? What is that about?
Mom Love. And I think your fans are really going to love this special, Timothy.
Sure.
I think they're going to love it.
Absolutely.
Mom Love is, it's the last joke in the special, and it's essentially saying that underneath everything, we've gotten out of balance. There's too much empathy. There's too much. You have mom love and dad love.
Right.
Mom loves you unconditionally.
Right.
Dad loves you the way...
Barely.
Barely.
Right.
Based on how you do, conditionally.
Right.
You do good, dad loves you a little more, the way the world will love you. And there's too much mom love. There's too much empathy. And like we've talked about before, Tim, empathy is infinite. There's no end to empathy.
So dad love
is conditioned.
It's conditional. Like when my dad got divorced and lived with his brother for 2 years and called me once every 2 months, that's conditional love.
Conditionally.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
He loves you conditionally.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loves you a little bit more now that you're doing good.
Yeah.
When you were living with Justy Dodge, not so much.
Yeah. No, when I was living on a couch in Hell's Kitchen, he was,
People said, how's your son? He goes, son.
Yeah. He goes, wait, who?
I don't know if I have one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So that's the whole special, and it's very funny. I've seen you do the hour live. You got to check it out. It's on YouTube.com.
YouTube network.
It's free.
Yeah.
And it's for your viewing pleasure.
It costs a share. I'm trying to do that as an advertising byline because I'm working on my marketing.
Right.
It costs a share.
Share it.
Share it.
Share it if you like it.
Yeah. Be socialist about it. I know some of your listeners like communism.
We run a real spectrum here.
Yeah.
It's from the hard left to the hard right.
Yeah.
And so that's good.
Those are the interesting people, though.
Those are the fun people.
Those are the fun people. You don't want to go with the dinner with someone who's nuanced.
No, you want somebody who's really gonna.
Yeah, it's gonna bring it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, this will be, everybody in America for the next few months and since this shooting in Texas is going to talk about guns.
Yeah.
This is going to be, or maybe not. Or maybe that's over. But it's
guns, food, and safety.
Yeah. Guns are they're out there. And I think personally that even some of the kids who were killed in Texas, if you brought them back, they would still be pro-gun. That's my position. Like if if the ghost of one of them came back, they would still be pro-gun because it's the right.
Well, in Texas and Florida, all you have to know is all you got to do is ask the guy, like, were you scared a little bit for your life? And I was frightened that these kids were going to hurt me. Right. And then he stood his ground. He stood his personal ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been shot.
I have been shot. I have that unique experience.
You have the unique experience of being shot. You've told it a million times and no one cares. So we're not going to rehash it.
No, but if you haven't been shot, I recommend it. It's fun.
It does kind of, it wasn't bad for you.
No, luckily.
Now, the guy who shot you is doing a one-man show about shooting you.
Well, I don't know. I haven't really checked it out. I haven't gone to the limited opening.
But
I don't know
he did a one-man show. This is a fact.
At some point, he did a one-man show.
At some point.
Yeah.
This is how strong the desire is for fame in this country. At one point, the man who shot you outside of a nightclub got on a stage and did a one-man show about the decision to shoot you.
Yeah, I don't know what it was about, but I know that it was in there somehow because that was part of the reason I think he got in trouble. Finally, someone said, okay, we got to take your gun away and we got to put you away.
So he didn't even get caught before he did the one-man show?
No, he did the one-man show, I think, from prison, I believe. I don't know too much about it.
Okay, so he was caught first.
Yeah, I tend not to try
Have you reached out to forgive him the way the Pope has forgiven people that have tried to assassinate the Pope? Remember when the guy shot the Pope and then the Pope forgave him?
Yeah.
Well, that happened. Have you forgiven? Have you reached out to this person to forgive them for shooting you?
I don't blame him, you know?
Yeah.
I don't blame him. He was doing God's bidding.
Yeah. But have you ever thought about him again or tried to say?
No, no.
Are you angry at him?
No, I'm not angry at him.
So my whole thing is this.
Besides the fact that if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have had all those fucking panic attacks and I probably would have made it in this business a long time ago. No, I'm not mad at him. And he was Armenian. How the fuck can you do that to your Greek brother, you piece of shit?
But you seem to have, how bad is it getting shot? This is my question. I mean, truly, and this is a real thing here. You seem okay, and it doesn't seem like it inhibits you in any other area of your life. So are we overreacting to gun violence, perhaps?
I think it's just part of American culture, baby.
I think it's part of life.
Yeah, it's part of life.
I think it's part of life. And I think, people should start saying that. I think politicians should start saying getting shot is part of life, as opposed to keep running away from it. And I go, why don't you just kind of brand it as a uniquely kind of American experience where people have the freedom to shoot you. You also have the freedom to maybe shoot them.
You do, if you get a little scared.
It's a violent country.
It's a country where there's more of a chance that you might lose your life in places that typically people don't lose their life.
Right.
You know?
It's a violent country.
You could just be looking at tomatoes trying to pick out which ones are more ripe.
Right.
And the next thing you know, there's a war happening in aisle 4.
Right.
And you just have to be prepared. So I think the solution is every single person.
If you take that element away, this is my concern.
It gets boring.
That's right.
Yeah.
If you take the element away of potentially a massacre in a grocery store.
You never know when the USSR, North Korea, is going to attack your living room.
Right.
So you have to be armed with as many semi-automatic weapons as possible.
Now, you're not an anti-gun nut.
No, I'm not at all.
You believe that people...
It should be a little harder to get than a Tylenol.
It might, yes.
Yeah, that might help.
But the argument is that it is a little hard to get because you have to leave your house and drive somewhere. That is the argument.
That's tough,
It's not, you can't Postmate. Go to Postmates and try to get a gun. You can't.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't get a Postmates gun.
Well,
of all the issues that I
checked all the counties in Florida.
Good point.
Yeah.
Of all the issues we talk about on this show, I never get more hatred than when I suggest that guns should be harder to get. This is the thing. And I'm Second Amendment. I believe you should be able to own a gun, protect yourself, things like that. The minute I have said that guns should be a little harder to get, I get vicious hate. And I understand it to a degree because you have people going, let's get rid of cops. Let's get rid of any type of enforcement. And then let's just hope that you don't get killed.
Well, that's part of the fear. And it's an understandable fear because when you look at what the left does, they start out with you can't say this, or you can't do it. And then they just keep
going.
We should do police reform. And then the next thing you know, they're like, let's get rid of cops as an idea.
Yeah.
And you're like, so that's what people are scared of.
They're scared of that a little common sense gun control metastasizes into a complete confiscation of your weapons.
And some of the rhetoric is naive when you see it going, guns are bad, get rid of guns. I mean, what's this obsession with guns? It's like these blanket statements that place some morality on the actual object. Right. When it's like, no, it's not the gun. Guns depends on the context whether a gun is good or bad, right?
So is it your contention?
Yeah.
That it's not guns that kill people.
It's lack of body armor that does.
It's, you know what it is? Now, let me be honest about this particular shooting. Mm-hmm. The cops did not go into this school for a long time.
Guy was armed.
Yes, but, isn't your job as a police officer to confront that which is happening in the moment?
Depends on whether it's a rival school from where your kid plays football.
That's a great point. Yeah. I never thought about that.
Depends on which.
Because it is so big there in Texas.
It's huge.
I never thought about
what football team they're going to play for.
I never thought about that. I didn't even think about that. Is it possible these guys are going, you know what, maybe a few quarterbacks are getting it in there and our numbers are going up?
Exactly.
My question is, because a lot of people are saying, Uvalde school shooter was in school for up to an hour before law enforcement broke into a room where he was barricaded and killed him. That seems like a lot of time, Giannis.
Well, it's a lot of time, but,
it seems too much.
The cops probably had to ask a lot of permission from certain organizations.
Right.
Like, do we have a couple social workers here to talk to him first?
Right.
Find out why he
Let's
did what he
talk
did.
Him down.
What happened? What kind of institutions have failed him?
Yes.
What kind of systems?
Well, the guy who killed the 10 people in Buffalo in the grocery store, the cops, then he went to go kill himself. The cops were like, no, don't.
Yeah.
Let him do it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
yeah.
What are you going to do? They're like, no, don't worry about it. You made one mistake.
Yeah, we want to find out why you did it.
You got your whole life ahead of you. Yeah. Come here, give me a hug. You're a good boy.
Yeah.
So to me, it feels like, quote here, it's going to be within like 40 minutes or something, within an hour. Texas Department of Public Safety Director Steve McGraw told CNN's Ed Lavandera at a news conference the 18-year-old shooter Salvador Ramos was in a standoff with law enforcement officers for about a half hour after firing on students and teachers. Rep. Tony Gonzalez. I mean, here's the argument that pro-gun people make, and this is an interesting argument. Guns are not new. School shootings are new. There is something mentally going on where we have a huge mental health crisis. This doesn't mean you should be able to get a gun at 7-Eleven. What I am saying is there is something going on in the culture. I don't know what it is. I have a few ideas. It's a coarsening potentially of the culture in the sense that we are creating perhaps more violent sociopaths now than we were then.
Yeah. You got to get this kid into acting classes early.
That's true. Because he posted a photo with eyeliner.
Yeah.
And he was kind of, had some issues. He got bullied a lot.
You just got to take that sociopathy and that you got to put it in a place where he can use it and it benefits him.
That's a great point.
Acting, entertainment, politics.
Yes.
Should
we be identifying sociopaths at a younger age and putting them on a path to be our leaders as opposed to killing children in a school? They can kill children in other countries on our behalf.
Absolutely.
It's not a bad idea.
We need some youth outreach programs that identify these sociopathic traits early and then put them on the right track. Get them into a couple of improv classes.
Or how about this? It's like, hey, you don't feel good. There's a place for you.
There's a place for you.
There's a place for you without empathy. There's 100% a thing you can do. I don't know much about this guy. And his name is Salvador Ramos. He was 18 years old. Supposedly he was bullied. He wrote 3 disturbing messages on Facebook just minutes before the massacre. A massacre, warning of the carnage to come. Quote, I'm going to shoot my grandmother, Salvador Ramos wrote about 30 minutes before his rampage on Facebook. How many people liked that? That sounds like something I would have written. Nobody knows he's